All right, welcome to the reboot of the podcast. I took a little break for a little while, and I wanted to come back with a bang. The idea behind the podcast is looking at hospitality outliers and outliers in general, people that outperform the market by multiples. And I want to have guests on, obviously from inside the industry to share their expertise and their experience, and also from outside the industry, and that we can apply those principles inside. So kicking off today, I've got my friend Ronsley with us, who actually is a bit of a hybrid of both. Ronsley had a restaurant in Brisbane, Australia years ago, and now he's an expert in AI. And first, I'm delighted to have you, Ronsley. We've been friends for a while. We're part of the same business group. I get to see Ronsley, once, maybe twice a year if I'm lucky. But welcome, man. Great to have you on board.
Thanks, Sean. It's good. I love having these conversations, and having focused conversation with you is always a pleasure.
Yeah, man. Well, that's what we'll do today.
Yeah.
So, Ronsley, I've got the extended bio here, but what I always love to do is give guests a chance to kind of present themselves. So, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience, in the kind of 60-second format.
Well, I think the best way to introduce myself is like I've been a learner, so using myself as a reference point is not necessarily a good idea, because I've had so many different careers, a chef, a restaurateur, podcaster, financial advisor, software engineer, and now into AI, so who knows what's next. So I feel like I've gone deep into each one of these things. I've got a master's in software engineering, I've got an MBA in psychology and leadership. I've got a chance to implement my thesis in a company that got to an ISO 9001 accreditation. I made a podcast that got 1 million listeners in 4.5 months, and
wow.
They started the first podcasting conference in Australia. I wrote a book. My TEDx talk got made a TED Talk, and I don't know. I feel like I'm living the dream.
Yeah, man. You're the Forrest Gump of Australia, aren't you? Everything you go into, you're crushing it.
I'm going to steal that. If you ever see that becoming famous, on a billboard, Forrest Gump of Australia.
Well, listen, I'm really excited to talk to you about AI. I'm, overwhelmed by it. I'm excited by it. It's, in my lifetime, it's like the third thing that's blown my mind when it comes to technology. Believe it or not, the VCR coming out, thinking that we can capture things that are on television, play them anytime we want, start to record and share and mix and all that. Then the internet came along and changed everything. And now AI, right? I'm watching all kinds of changes happen on a daily basis now. Friends, their business just taking off, other people kind of feeling like they're left behind, but I don't know about that. There's a lot happening here. So to get us out of the gate quickly, through the lens you have of a former restaurateur and an AI expert, what if you were to tell someone three things that bar and restaurant operators could do right now to make their life easier and increase profit when it comes to AI, what would you say? What would you do?
Well, the first thing I would say, you can count if I get to 3, but the first thing I would say is understand that this is not going away, right? Like how you said the internet came along, the internet is not going away. It's like a thing that came along and changed a lot of things. So the industry came along and changed. So if you think about the different ages that came along, the industrial age came along and made industry commoditized. So we have machines now that we have in our homes that we just wouldn't imagine doing it any other way. Would you imagine, washing your clothes in the bathroom for 3 hours anymore? You wouldn't.
Right.
So from that, we built computers which allowed us to store data, and it became easier to store data and cheaper to store data. So we had the information age that came along. So information is easy and is becoming more easy. So we commoditized information. And built on those two, we have intelligence. And literally we needed those two things to happen for intelligence age to come along. And it's very different to search. So it's not information, it's intelligence. And we have to understand, it not only restaurateurs, but business owners and businesses and value providers in general have to understand that it's a silicon-based life form. We are a carbon-based life form. We require food and water to survive. It requires data and power to survive. And it's not necessarily hallucinating. It is making deductions, like how we make deductions. And in some instances, we're considering them to be hallucinates, but they might not be. They could be a badly asked prompt. So one of the things to understand is, especially from a business owner's perspective, or the founder or the visionary's perspective, if you kind of imagine someone that has this idea and wants to bring it to life, the biggest jump is to explain that vision to the others, right? That's the biggest, getting recruitment in place and operations in place and all these other aspects in play. It's the same with AI. How much are you actually communicating to AI to give it enough context for it to do exactly what you think or expect it to do, or what's in your brain, and are you communicating entirely the way you want it to do something? So I think those are some elements that are really important to understand. Is artificial intelligence will easily be the biggest conversation of our lifetime. And if you think about a human being born on the planet, has to be trained at school for 12 years to operate on the planet, that's IQ. That's every intelligence model right now. So IQ is now commoditized. So are we going to send our kids to school for 12 years now to figure out how to operate when you can, get that for $10 a month?
Right. So for the listeners that are brand new to AI, and I know many are, I was trying to figure this out a little while ago. Ronsley just made the point between search, like Google, you type in best restaurants in New York City, and AI. And AI, I watched a podcast with Ronsley a little while back, and he talked about, the quality of your prompt, the quality of what you receive out. So can you talk a little bit about a prompt structure and how you're actually getting the best information out?
Yeah, I mean, in general, the first things to understand or to communicate is, this is what I want. And if I want this outcome, if I was to do it myself, these are the inputs I need. So these are the inputs that you should have. And with those inputs, I normally process them in this way. So this is how I want you to process them. So if you, for example, if you already have a framework, and that's why it's really good to already have existing frameworks. And by the way, the new book, Amplify AI, is all about the thing that I say the most is process is everything. So if you already have a process that's working, use AI, inject AI, or inject intelligence into the parts of the process to make it quicker, easier, faster. For example, you can execute things at speed that would have taken us ages and probably weeks and months in some scenarios to ideate or put together or write or any of those things. And right now, there's so many different elements to business, irrespective of hospitalities or bar owners, or we all have the similar sort of issues to deal with.
Yeah. So as an example, and for those, I think ChatGPT is one of the most popular tools out there. So if I was brand new to it, Ronsley, and I'm staring at the screen and the cursor's flashing, and I wanted a hand, I've got this, we're doing a tasting night for whiskeys, and I'm a terrible writer, and I want to have ChatGPT help me with that, and I want to invite, we've got 50 places we could do, we've got a speaker coming in. How would you prompt it? What would you actually say to get its help in getting that event together?
So I think firstly, getting together a set of custom instructions, so some base context is really important. Saying, this is my restaurant or bar, this is who I serve, this is who I care about, this is why we are so good at what we do, this is how we develop the menu. All the little things that you think are common sense needs to be put into context and needs to be put and documented and said, when you're executing anything, keep these things in mind, right? So I might be doing a whiskey tasting, but I definitely would have brand guidelines and brand identity that I would want you to follow when you're coming up with the menu or when you're coming up with the invites. So then I would kind of go, well, in any instance, the simplest way to look at it is how do I attract, how do I convert, how do I deliver, you know, in whether it's a project or it's a business, or it doesn't matter, it's a product. It's usually the same three things that you look at in general. So how do I attract, and what do you need to attract? So how are you attracting the people to this event? So what do you need for that?
Right.
Definitely making a list, or even asking for a list, is probably an easier, a lazier way to do it. And when I say lazy, I don't mean it's a bad way. I just mean that augment your intelligence with artificial intelligence. The things that you can't do and are bad at doing, delegate that to AI and get good at asking AI to do it. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So in those instances, I would look at attract. What do I do for that? How do I convert? Like what kind of collateral and stuff do I need for that? And how do I deliver? What do I need in that delivery phase, or the post phase? So that's all only in writing, but you can use that for so many different things. You can ideate at speed. You can you can put in rosters and find out where you're wasting time. Analyze it. Tell me what's working, what's not working. What
Right.
can you tell me? But again, it's very use case specific. It's not I got to change how I'm doing things just because AI has come along. This is how I'm doing things. Let me use AI to make it a 1 hour situation rather than a 2-day or 3-day event.
That's a great point, Ronsley, and what you just shared was the first breakthrough for me. Again, with Google, you're typing in, you're asking for something, it's looking for the best match, and it comes back. I started thinking about this like, I had an assistant for several assistants, but over the course of 20 years, and people stayed with me many, many years. And my assistant learned as things went on, right? He or she heard all the conversations, they had access to the documents, and then when they'd create something, it'd be in my voice, right? And then I could have further input, and then it'd be shaped up again. So that's what's possible with AI. And the whiskey event, you could even say, right, pull down 5 articles on the whiskeys that you're doing and say, reference some of these, use similar language, pull in some of the facts, and your mind will be blown if you're not doing it already. And having said all that, you've got this long thing now, and then you say, hey, get all that down to 80 words for me, or 120 words, whatever the format is. You will be blown away. You might even say, create 3 versions of it, one with a little bit more wit and grit, right? Show me what that looks like. So you can have a lot of fun with it.
I'll give you an example of what can be done and how to think about these things. So Gary Vaynerchuk just released a book called Day Trading Attention, and it's a book on how to get attention for any business or any brand today and in the future. How to look for the signals, how to create the creative, how to analyze the creative, how to put money on the creative, and how to amplify it. So I created, and there's a screenshot I have of the chat inside in the Vayner team, because I made an AI for them to execute the whole book in under a minute with 7 prompts. So 7 inputs. So you don't have to read the book. You don't have to understand the book. You don't have to apply the concepts of the book. You don't have to personalize those concepts to your business. You just have to answer 7 questions and 7 inputs and hit the button. And in 1 minute, it'll apply the whole framework for your business, personalized, and it like that is just, we've not even begun. So,
wow. Yeah. I saw you in New York City with Gary Vaynerchuk and that whole expedition. That's really cool, man.
I was there with him at VCon in LA a month ago. But the point is, and I do a lot of speaking for their clients and for their team, so especially around AI and training as well, them and their clients. So the point I'm trying to make is, any framework that has already existed that used to take hours, days, A SWOT analysis we had to go into a business to do a SWOT analysis that would take weeks. That could be done at speed right now. And that's what I'm trying to say. Process is everything. Apply AI to the process. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It makes perfect sense. And to throw in a practical example here, something we just did recently, and I'll frame it out, and I'd love to see, where you would take it from here. But, we've all had great staff, these unicorns in the business. You're like, man, I'd take 2 or 3 people to replace that person. So we had a client with someone leaving like that. And we had time with that person. So we went through the process. The person was a host. So I went through the process and kind of mocked from the front door, came in, talked about how he greeted people, why he did this, why he closed the gap, in the physical space between them. And so each point we could put our hand up and say, why did you do that? Why is that important? And we're just recording the whole thing step by step, as right through to seating the table, what he did in between that time to elevate the experience, and then the whole experience on the way out. And we kept asking, why are you doing that? Why is that important? We ran the audio into text, into ChatGPT, put it into step by step. We looked at it, added some features, and then pulled it up into Synthesia, which is an avatar AI, like having a newscaster. You select the person, the accent, the whole deal. It is mind-blowing that we is it as good as that person? Absolutely not. But it might be 80, 90%, right? And some aspects might be better because it's now teachable and we filled in some gaps.
Yeah.
But what would you do from there, Ronsley? What could we do to take that a step further?
Well, I think most people are kind of looking at those kind of things, and I don't feel those things are there yet. That's why I think it's important to understand the basics of AI, because it's not like it's going anywhere. So if you could invest in anything, and you could invest any time, energy, and money into anything, you'd want to invest in a place that it's not going anywhere, and it's probably going to define a lot of our things going forward. So that's the first thing I want to say. The second thing is I don't think that's the best place to start, to be honest.
Okay.
I think the best place to start is what are the things that are really fucking annoying you? Like, what, as a business, what is annoying the fuck out of you? Then you're going, I hate doing that. I hate doing that. I hate doing the roster. I hate doing the weekly specials. I hate doing coming up with a poster for whatever happens on Monday. I hate coming up with new ideas on how to promote the business. I hate looking at whatever the things are, And I recommend starting there and making that process easier, making that process repeatable, making that process more intelligent. Let's not be the intelligent beings that are fearing intelligence, right? We just have to use intelligence and augment what we have and understand that we are humans and we're bad at a lot of things, including memory. We're really bad at that. So this new intelligence is not bad at remembering things. It's very, very good at doing that. So make use of that.
Awesome, man. You mentioned earlier using AI to analyze data. And I think the example you gave was like looking at the roster and what's working. Talk to us a little bit about that. How do you do that? How do you input a roster? How do you get it to think for you in that regard?
Yeah, I mean, I think any data that you capture, and I think that's going to be most important for any business going forward. And hospitality businesses capture a lot of data, whether they realize it or not. All rosters are in hours, and it's data. A lot of people coming in, the checks are all data. What they bought, how many like every POS machine gives out data. So there's data everywhere. So I would look at things like if you have a loyalty program, for example. Let's start there. You have a loyalty program, and in there, say for example, as part of asking when their birthday is, you ask them, what was their favorite dish on the menu or something like that, and that okay, then there's X amount of dishes, like there's a certain dish that is the favorite on the menu, for example. Finding that out. Where do people live? Like, for example, you could put that list not in the ChatGPT, not in anything public, because you wouldn't want data to be put in a public domain. But you could separate the data without the names and the email addresses, and you could put the rest of the data into AI and say, where do these people live? You know, what is the similarities between certain things that they do? In the roster sense, you can ask to break down the roster and see if you can make it better. For example, in Claude, you can design a game from a prompt and then share that game with someone. So you can say,
Really?
yeah, you can say, design me a snake game, and then it'll design the snake game, and then it'll say share the artifact, and I can give it to you, and you can play the snake game that I designed. Or I can say, design me a game that'll do this or do that. You can take existing templates. For example, take a landing page that already exists and say, this is a template for a well-performing landing page. Here are all my inputs and my context. Write the same page for me, and then create it using an artifact. And then you can create it with HTML, give it to your web person, and they can literally upload that. So
Wow.
the level of things that you can do right now is ridiculous. You just have to start somewhere, and you have to dedicate some resources and some brain space to this. I think that's what I'm trying to get at. It's not like everyone's selling us tools. Those tools are going to come and go. All the tools that everyone's buying are going to come and go.
Right.
We've got to understand the principles around how it works and why it works, and then implement it inside our businesses, because at the end of the day, we are responsible as business owners for the business.
Absolutely. You know, the customization of this, when you look at, if I'm a restaurateur or a bar owner, and I've got this diverse crowd, right? And I've got different promotional aspects of the business. I've got happy hour, I've got my whiskey club, I've got other things. I was sitting with a client the other day, and their social media person, it looked like he was about 25 years old, kind of hit gold with a certain audience, and that became his voice for all audiences, and the rest of it wasn't landing. And I was talking to him about, you know, using something like ChatGPT to set up different, I don't know what you call them, filters for each audience. You know, this is more short form, longer. This is long form. You know, Whiskey Club might be, you know, a bit of an older crowd. You'd want this sort of tone, and you know, and as you know, you can literally type in, say, hey, say this in the voice of, you know, insert whoever, you know, you love that voice, and you know. It's only been a few weeks, but I mean, a massive difference, right? They're trying to create a connection. If someone's speaking a different language, or hitting you with long form when you're a short form person, or whimsical copy when you're a serious person.
Yeah.
So can you talk to us a little bit about that, and how you organize that inside the framework so that you can keep track?
Firstly, I think here's what's really interesting is what you just described is asking AI to be more empathetic towards the audience in how you deliver what you want to deliver, because we can't get it. Just imagine how long it would have taken for us to figure that out on our own.
Right.
So what I want everyone to understand is the delegation of human cognitive load. So how much of cognitive load was delegated towards AI for you to ideate something like that? And that's what I'm trying to get to, is like use AI in that respect. So, for example, to personalize anything, you can put in any voice, but what's happening is people are analyzing voices. We don't write and we don't speak the same way. So what people are doing is like, analyze my voice, here's a transcript. And it's like, it's not writing the way I want it to write. Yeah, it's writing the way you speak, because you've given it a transcript.
Right.
You're analyzing the wrong thing, and you're saying it's not doing the right thing. It's like you're not asking the right thing. And that's what happens when a marketing bro or a business coach has suddenly become AI powered or AI enabled, or this new AI force of nature, and they have no idea what they're doing, and they're literally, you know, taking people down this rabbit hole and with false information. So the idea here is to understand that context is everything. Understand that you can get AI to hop on one foot if you wanted to. You just have to say, this is how I want you to hop. And this is why I want you to hop, and this is where you land. You don't land on the heel. It might be obvious to you, obvious to me, but you have to say, no, I don't want you when you're hopping to land on your heel. I want you to land in the spot that you can hop again and not like break your leg, right? So that's what I'm trying to say is like when you're giving it information, the context to write all these things, or so every business starts with this idea, this promise, whether it is to the client or to the team or to their stakeholders. Like use AI to fulfill on those promises. So if you created the bar or the restaurant to make people happy, like find out how you can do that with your branding and your messaging, and you can do that now at speed and ideate using AI at speed, which would have taken you ages, or you had to get a branding agency to come in, or, you know, for example, you could do a SWOT analysis in your area on what is working for people, foot traffic around. Like you could get all that data and put in and analyze that at speed yourself, which, you know, was, I don't know how long it would have taken you otherwise to do that. Especially if you're creating content, I think there's a huge value, but any communication in any respect, using AI to help you with that. Even emails, like you write, how many emails do we write a day? You know, how many meetings do we have a day? So for example, you can automate and create intelligence around meetings. Every meeting for us, for example, gets transcribed and then goes into this AI that produces action items and takeaways, and it's stored in Notion. So we have that automatically happening, that we don't have to keep doing that all the time because it's already a thing that needs to be done. Like that, if you have a form on your website that, you know, people are filling in, you can automate to already have the draft written up. For example, you might not even want to send it, but you could have the draft already written up, so it's already 99% there and it's already automated. You don't have to put it into ChatGPT or any of that stuff. So you can now use automations to connect in, you know, some of the things that are happening and put intelligence around it.
So I think I'm pretty sure a bunch of light bulbs just went off, right? If you're like me and you hate email and responding and you put it off, and so think about this, what Ronsley just pointed out. Your emails are coming in, you've got it connected to AI. It's looking, you know, first off, it's learning from everything you've said before that it's had access to, right? So someone, hey, would you be interested in doing this? It already knows that you're not interested in doing that because you've told the last 8 people, no, thank you. I just don't travel, whatever. And it can respond in kind to them. You know, it's a short, punchy question. It's got a short, punchy answer. It's a longer form. It's going to go longer form in your voice, right? And then you come in the morning and everything's queued up and you can hit fire, quick correction, fire. I'm telling you, you go from 2 hours of sitting there pulling your hair out to 12 minutes, and it's way better, and you don't miss anything, right? Like you skim an email and they also say, can I borrow $100,000? Yes, no. So Ronsley does it to me all the time. and off we go. Ronsley, take us to the guest experience. Go back in time to your restaurant and business, but with your tools today. But you're not Ronsley, the AI expert. You don't know anything about it, and your team doesn't know much either. My question is, would you be investing in a member of the team or several members of the team to learn this and bring your restaurant up? Or would you get someone from outside to help you in your business, immediately grab onto your marketing, to your any process that you want to automate with AI? Which would you do?
Ooh, what a great question. Sean, you know how long I've been doing this and how many podcasts I've been on? That's a great question. For a variety of different reasons, because I feel that hindsight's always 20/20, and there are some things that are possible today that is just not possible. They were not even possible a month ago. AI is developing so quickly. when I started doing when I got in the restaurant business, it was my first business. So I learned on the job how to do recruitment and how to do operations and how to do marketing and advertising and accounting and all the other elements that came. I didn't even think that far, actually.
Right.
And also, I then realized that I had to spend all this money to get the restaurant fitted out and the kitchen fitted out and stainless steel everywhere. And, I feel like I could have used some of the ideas of business first. You can be the best restaurant, you can be the best chef on the planet, the best lawyer on the planet, the best advertising agency, the best business coach. It doesn't matter what that is. But if you don't have the other elements of business figured out, you're just going to land up cooking for your friends like I do right now,
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And if that's your passion, that's my passion. Like I absolutely love. And that's the best thing I love the most is you don't even have to tell me what ingredients it is. Surprise me. Just put random ingredients in front of me and go, make something from here. And I'm like a pig in shit at that
Right.
point. So I feel like the next best thing was computers. Like, that's the next best thing that makes me easy. I can program in 21 languages. I love talking to computers and asking it to do things that were not possible before. One of my first jobs out of university was programming a tractor to wake up in the morning and plow the field. But the best thing about being and creating a menu was, for me, was the five senses should always be touched. That should just be a given. When someone walks in, to the time they walk out, the five senses of a restaurant, that's like 101. Can you take that to the sixth sense? How can you ideate in a way that you can deliver the sixth sense? That could be anything. That could be compassion. That could be, imagination. That could be giving it to someone, giving something to someone else. It doesn't matter what it is. How can you invoke a sixth sense at a bar, restaurant, or an experience? Because what people are actually buying is not necessarily the food. They're buying the experience of being there. So I would love to have known all those things and then have had someone help me execute that.
Right.
So for a bar or business owner at this point, I feel like definitely investing in AI, whether it's themselves, even if it's a little bit themselves, but understanding how it works, why it's not just ChatGPT. That's like saying that social is Facebook. It's not, right?
Right.
Like ChatGPT is just sort of small sliver of AI and the AI tools available. So just educating not only yourself as the business owner, but definitely one of the top end leaders in your team and in your team structure, especially someone who's in operations and is dealing with like lots of figures and numbers and data. That's the person who probably should be using it first.
Yeah. And that's a great answer. I think that a lot of businesses right now, a lot of operators I talk to are just overwhelmed by it and staying away for now. And I'm like, you got to start to dip your toe in the water and get involved with it and see. And, YouTube's a great resource to go on with the basics and just like, okay, once you understand this, and then it all starts to click and come through. If you were helping a client set up, and again in the restaurant space, and said, what's the basic suite? Like if I want to ops, my emails, my menus, I want help with my marketing, and I want to crunch some data and analysis. Like what are the basic package you'd look at? Would ChatGPT be part of that? And if so, what else?
So there's different things. I mean, there's different AIs for different situations. And I think, again, understanding what's important for you. So if it's a lot of data, then ChatGPT isn't the answer, because it can only it doesn't have as much short-term memory or context window as something like Claude, or something even bigger than Claude or Claude from Anthropic. The other one is Gemini. Gemini has an even bigger context window than that, so it remembers more. It'll, not forget if you put in a book, for example. So I did something when I was writing the new book that you can use and extrapolate for the restaurant business in different ways, like especially menu items, for example. If you already have costings and stuff like that are already documented, the recipes. So what I did for the book was I already had the manuscript done, and I interviewed all these really cool people like Gary and Daniel Priestley and Dan Martell and Eben Pagan, and I was like Cameron Harold. I was like, hey, it'd be cool to mention all these people in the book. So I gave it the book, and I gave it all these transcripts, and I said, hey, tell me where in the book, in the manuscripts, these things fit. And my voice style, so if you had to write like a few lines about it, what would you write? It kind of like literally filled everything in. And if I had to get a team or like people to do that, it would have taken 3 or 5 people, at least 3 weeks, to read all the transcripts, figure it out, read the manuscript, see where it aligned, and then kind of put them together. So just think about how much cognitive load was delegated and given to get that task done.
Yeah.
So that is how you kind of got to look at, using it. So not only think of it from an ideation perspective. Like you can now ideate at speed. Like you could say, we tried this before, it didn't work, but these are new parameters, maybe. This is what's coming up actually, you can use something like Perplexity AI, which is a combination of search and intelligence. So it'll search the internet and then it'll apply intelligence onto that. What that means is you can say, what is trending right now in my local area, right? And then it'll give you what's trending right now in the local area. Then you can use what's trending right now in your marketing to hit what's trending with your, twist on it, whatever that looks like, and get attention that way. So you can use Perplexity is good, Claude is good, Gemini is good, obviously ChatGPT is good, but more importantly, it's not about the tools as much as it is about injecting it into a current process that's already working or not working. So if you're not getting something done, then focus there first. And if something is already working, then apply AI to that process.
So I really hope, one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on today, Ronsley, like AI is this new thing. It's a cool thing, but it is a change maker in your business. Like if your business isn't making enough money, you can use AI to make more money. So Ronsley just mentioned, going online, anyone can Google whatever you think of to look up, to recall. But this is going online searching for things. It's like hiring a consulting firm to come in to look for this particular trend in places you wouldn't even think to look. And it could start to look at comments and what the customers say and looking for key things that they're out there doing. So that's one consulting team outside your business, right? That you could never afford to pay, but now you can. And then inside your business, we were working with a client the other day. In the industry for far too many years, we've had this clumsy labor percentage, right? I'm the owner. I'm going to give you X budget to schedule staff. And it's kind of like a cap on your business, right? Managers, that's the reward. Hit the labor budget. But if the real prize was, let's see what the optimal amount of cash we could take in this time, and we start to do that experiment, start to look at trends, and as the revenue goes up, so does your ability to hire people to do so. And sometimes you have to raise the revenue before you can or the labor before you can raise the revenue. What AI did for us is it starts to ask the right questions. What's the difference? Why, when these 3 people work, do we get this output? And then we asked those questions, said, well, what's the difference here? And just an example, like we had 3 A players on, they're 3 best bartenders on a bar. We had a better result with an A and 2 Bs, right? Because the A is a show pony in the middle, 2 Bs are strong and steady on the outside, and they just keep cranking, and you get in this harmony. right? So you put the data in and then say, what are the questions I need to ask to find out how to take this to the next level?
Yeah,
That's what I love.
There's so many different ways to play that game, and the more you can imagine different things, and you can. I didn't even get to the image playing game. I didn't even get to using Descript to edit audio and video. I didn't even get to using B-roll. I didn't even get to all these other AI elements that are there that can be used.
Well, talk for a little bit, Ronsley, about Descript, because it's one of my favorites. So tell me, what you like about that and how you use Descript to take it.
Well, I think in any respect right now, as any business, whether you're a bar business or a restaurant or a cafe, it doesn't matter, what kind of hospitality business, to be honest, you've got to be putting content out there. You have to have an Instagram page. You have to be capturing content. You have to be putting that out there. So having a style guide and creating images in your style guide is important, but also Descript can edit at speed. Descript can remove ums, ahs. Descript can remove words that you use all the time that's just part of your lingo that you might not want to publish. Descript can actually make or remove room noise. Now, a lot of times when you have a microphone, you can pick up room noise. It's reverb, like you can hear it bounce off the walls. And you can use Descript to remove that and create studio sound. There's so many things, and it's not only Descript, there's other tools out there. There's Adobe Enhance that is very useful. So if you have, an audio that's recorded even in a bar, for example, you can put that through Adobe Enhance and it'll create a studio style sound. There's a new technology that has come out. Sean, this is gonna blow your fucking mind. So there's a new technology 2 days ago. You put your transcript into it and it'll return a man and a woman describing in audio format the summary of that transcript.
Oh my goodness.
It is ridiculous, and you cannot tell. Like, you can't. This is the worst it's going to get.
Wow. What's that program called?
I don't know the name.
I won the game today. It was Stump Ronsley. No one can do it. I just stumped him. While you're looking that up,
yeah.
So guys, think about what he said earlier, right? Use AI to do the thing that you hate to do, that robs your energy. We're in the energy business, right? If we have great energy, we fill a room with it, we get guests swept up in it, that's hospitality, right? How someone feels about themselves while they're in your company. So many people love being on camera, right? Very few do. And we all have these awesome cameras in our pocket that we can record things with. So what Ronsley just said is you can record yourself talking, going through things, talking to your staff, talking to your customers, whatever it might be, run it through a Descript and wipe out all the stuff you don't like. The ums, the ahs, the cursing, the this, the that. I don't want to talk about, I shouldn't have talked about that. Cut that out. And it's your editor. Pulls all that. It's mind blowing what it does in a click of a button.
You can even write, you can record your SOPs and you can put it into AI and say, can you please write me the SOP from what I just described? So, these are things that would have taken you ages to do that you can now do at speed. You can take meeting notes, you can take interviews and process them at speed. You can take so many things that you already have that takes you a long time to do. Use AI for that. The name of that is called Notebook LM. It's by Google. So Notebook LM.
Oh, wow. Notebook LM.
LM.google.com.
I'm going to check that out. Just on that, guys, and for practicality, think about what he's saying here, right? So we can create this content super quickly, edit it, and then, like we were with a client the other day, here's one of the things that I absolutely love about this. Working in restaurants my whole life, we're shooting stuff in English, we're putting out, and as we know, most restaurants have a large constituency of people that do not speak English as their first language. And if you think it's hard to talk in a language that's not your own, try learning in it, right? You get left behind because you just don't understand, you can't comprehend. Now we can put this stuff up, select the avatar, select the languages that we want to. You have one Spanish-speaking staff, one Russian-speaking staff, one language that most people haven't even heard of. You can put it in that language for them, right? With a person that looks like them, that talks like them. You could say, hey, take this boring SOP, standard operating procedures, and make this interesting for a 20-something audience, right?
Yeah.
And boom, you've got it. Amazing.
And I want to talk about the bar and restaurant and the hospitality business for a second, because it's something that I care about a lot, and I care about deeply. That it's hard to sort of please me when you go to a restaurant, but some of the places that you've taken me to, Sean, are like absolutely ridiculously off the charts.
Yeah.
But
they've got great coaches, those restaurants. That's what I heard.
Of course they do. Of course they do. But I was recently in Fiji at Taki's thing, and the thing that really blew me away are the people of Fiji. The first time I've been to Fiji. Have you been?
Once, yeah.
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 And it doesn't matter whether you're at the hotel or you're on the boat or you're at the restaurant or you're at the shops or you're at the bank. They all smile, they all say hello, they all do the bula. And it is a very good example of organizational culture, of hospitality at its peak. Because I don't think I have ever been to a country that I have felt so welcome and happy to be part of, that you're like, oh, like I want to go back. I mean, I'm not saying that other countries don't make you feel welcome. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that Fiji is not even comparable. And I wonder how we could do that in our establishments, because the thing that people take away the most is the experience. Because if you can create an experience that they keep talking about every time they have that experience, you've won.
Yeah.
You've won. You've won the marketing game. You've won the word of mouth game. You've won the game. So and if you're not good at ideating that, this is what you spend your time with AI and say, hey, this is what we've tried. This is who we are. Can we come up with better ways to engage with our clientele? These are our assets. This is what we think works. Can you do a SWOT analysis on who we are and what we care about? This is our location. Like, those are things that if you were left to wait for someone to ideate with you or brainstorm with you, would take you ages, right? You can do that now at speed.
Wow, I love that. And that's you go back 5 years and you wouldn't be thinking about, like, what are the things that absolutely make this business work, and if we get it wrong could break the business, right? And now we can start to focus and use AI with that. How to create instant rapport between a 22-year-old and a 42-year-old, right? What do you do? What are the mechanics? AI can teach you that. It can teach your staff that. Storytelling, right? The best businesses I work with in the world are the best storytellers. From what they say to how they market to what's on their menu. And now you can say, I want to take my storytelling to the next level. Here's 10 menus from bars around the world that I think tell a wonderful story. Help me create mine with some of the best points in mind, et cetera, et cetera. So I just think we're in the middle or at the beginning of a very interesting and exciting aspect. Before we let you go, Ronsley, is there one last piece of advice for us restaurant owners, bar owners with AI?
So the intellect, has been, we solved the intellect part, the intelligence piece. So give that to artificial intelligence, so your business and your team and your people can do the human element, which is courage, connection, and those deeper elements that are required in hospitality that will make it, unforgettable. So find out from your team what is annoying them so that they can do more of the connection piece that makes it a memorable experience for your guests.
Awesome, man. Ronsley, it's been an absolute pleasure spending time with you today, and I look forward to doing it face to face. I can't wait to get my hands on your book. I'm going to recommend to the audience your book. I'm sure it's going to be a home run for you. Tell us just a quick blurb about the book. What's it about, and why should bar and restaurant operators buy it?
Well, I think the book has been, if it was not for AI, it would have taken me 5 years to write the book. Not because I used AI to write the book, but I used AI for all the other parts of the book, like tell me what to do next, analyze this part of the book, do research on this, what are the research papers that already exist in this area. And I've used indigenous wisdom, I've used natural algorithms, and the first start of the book, we talk about David Hawkins' map of consciousness. So depending on what you're vibrating at, you can see a certain view of an event in a certain way. So if you're seeing AI from a fearful way, maybe it's time you change what your perspective is and your vibration is at. And I also outline how to grow revenue, how to grow operations, how to grow audience, and how to grow brand using artificial intelligence, and the 6 things you're going to do in each of those areas to actually grow those areas using AI. So get the book. It's one of my better creations.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, thank you again. I really do look forward to seeing you soon. It's been a pleasure today. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks for having me.
Take care, brother.
Yeah.
Ronsley, that was awesome, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Yeah, really, really valuable. I'm just thrilled, man. You happy, Ellie?
Yep, all good. You stopped it.
Oh, I don't think I did stop. I think it's still running, but we can cut it.
Hey, Ali, what's up?
What